I gotta watch my language now.
Uh-oh. And we're live.
Just kidding. I never fucking watch my language.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Welcome to the Gored 𝕯𝖈. You're doomed.
You've been saving that all night, haven't you?
Yes!
All right, now I should be able to bring up some references.
Oh, that's good.
Have you seen any of the stuff that they've released from the Doom, the new Doctor Doom?
Yeah.
Whoa. That was really weird. Wow. Okay. So that's in it again. Well, give me a minute to turn this into a file I can show you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. I just have to open it in Paint, MS Paint, and then save it as a JPEG. All right. Okay. Let's try it. Now I'm going to move everything over so that I can see. The present button. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah, that's not the Doom that I'm going to do. I have a few pictures of Dr. Doom for reference, but that's the one that was released from the movie, so the upcoming Avengers movie, I guess. I'm debating on how I want to go about this. I'm going to use a scale paper so I can just use black and white. I'm thinking I might want to sketch him just because I don't want to do your normal Dr. Doom. I looked at some modern depictions and some Jack Kirby depictions. And I kind of feel like Jack Kirby was really trying to do a knight when he did Dr. Doom, because the green tabard that's hanging over him, he's pretty much got armor on. The eye slits are really, really very much like some knight's helmet.
You ever heard of an author named 𝕯𝖈𝖙𝖔𝖗?
No. I don't know, maybe. I read so much. So, what did she write?
I have no idea. My uncle messaged me, like, I don't know, about 10 minutes ago, asking if I'd ever heard of her. He said he had no interest in her writing, but he liked the way she markets and sells her books. So, I don't know what that is. So I'll have to look into it, I guess. What's up?
Well, I was looking for something specific. It'd probably just be wiser to open more than one window, right?
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, so last time when I went to end the stream, I hit something about go to the dashboard, which I thought was just back or something. And so yeah, I was completely kicked out.
Yeah, as long as I don't close down the screen, you can just come back in.
Well, it was no longer there. The part I click on, I'm telling you, I just got that stream was over. Like it knew. Because the stream was over. So
Yeah, but I didn't end it.
yeah, I ended it. And then hit something about it going back to the dashboard, which is the screen right before this one. So tonight I'll just be a little bit more careful, I guess. I don't know. So why did you want to do Dr. Doom?
Because I've been wanting to do Dr. Doom for a while.
That was deep, man. That was super deep.
Huh?
I said that was deep.
Well, there's not really anything deep about it. I just had some ideas. It's actually nothing to do with any of the reasons that anybody would think that I was going to do it. Like I'm not doing it because there's a movie coming out. I'm not doing it for any other reason than just that I wanted to. And like I said on the David Finch fan server, I wanted to do it as a challenge, but I just had all that other stuff going on, so I really couldn't at the time. Dr. Doom has been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he has. I'll be interested to see if they can make him work. I don't see Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom.
No, that's not who I would picture it as it either. Matter of fact, just because his name is Victor Von Doom and where the imaginary place he comes from is really supposed to represent, you would think that they would have someone with that kind of a natural accent, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna put him in a mask and CGI him anyway, we go hungry. He seems to pull off bad guys that are, Russian or acrylic or whatever pretty well.
That's true.
Not that I'm saying that would be the best choice, but I think the trick is that they're not doing Doctor Doom as we know him. They're doing the alternate Iron Man Doctor Doom.
Yeah. That's one of those things where I could tell you how I would have done it, and because I have an idea of how I would have done it, it makes it harder for me to appreciate anything else. So, I like Robert Downey Jr. I liked him as Tony Stark. I thought it was perfect casting. So I'm willing to give it a shot or whatever, but it doesn't. That kind of pattern that he has as Tony Stark just doesn't work for Dr. Doom. So,
yeah, I have a hard time picturing him as Dr. Doom all the way around, really.
It'd be kind of cool if they had kept it quiet. If they had been like, yeah, we're not telling you.
Right.
Like, he's the man of the iron mask for a reason. You can just guess.
Then if they pull it off, then they can make a big deal out of it.
Right. Kind of like how Kevin Spacey wouldn't let his name be on the poster for 7.
As it turns out, that was probably a good decision in retrospect.
Did you see my amazing use of time and energy on Facebook?
Huh?
Oh, former students of mine are trying to argue politics, and it's just, just kind of funny. And they're not dumb kids or anything, and hey, they're not kids anymore. They're grown-ass adults. But, yeah, they are. It's just kind of funny watching. One of them's like, I can't fathom how you could ever justify a vote for Trump and all this stuff. And I didn't go on anybody's webpage and pick a fight. I tried to be, just remind people that, half the country did not vote to hurt the other half.
Over half.
Yeah. But the left is taking, or a lot of the left is taking it very, very personally. Like people voted against them.
You knew they would. They did last time too.
I know.
And just like last time, all the shit that they're saying ain't going to come to be.
I know. And
they'll never admit that they were wrong. They'll still double down even though you know better.
Yeah. But one of them was like, because he starts just going through and he wants to have these arguments. And like, it's kind of funny. Anytime it's not a good argument or anywhere close to a good argument, he's just like, I can't believe you're still on about this. It's because you don't want to argue about it. It's like he didn't believe it. I brought Hunter's laptop. He's like, that's not even a thing. And it's like, well, it's influence peddling and it's, drug use and looks like underage sex. And, oh, hey, I think the government knowingly pushing false information out and censoring people, and interfering with an election, that's kind of a thing and more people should be on that. And I don't really care whether I can't believe you're still on about that. I can't believe you're not still on about that. Government shouldn't be doing that. But, and I'm going through and he starts they're the party of science and I'm a science denier because, it's like, I'm sorry, the party of science said the vaccines are safe and effective, and yet you were more likely to get it and spread it once you had the vaccine. There's no credible study that shows that. There's tons of studies that show that now. There have been studies. It is ridiculous. The party that said ivermectin is horse-based.
They throw that word credible around.
Yeah.
They understand what it means.
It's just...
They use it to discredit anything that they don't like because it's not credible.
Well, then, they want to get into it because, again, I mentioned the fact that they have, women stealing, or women are having their opportunities stolen by men. And, they're getting beaten up in the Olympics by men. And,
yeah, they just did the first Golden Globe for a woman to a man.
Yeah, that's like, that's just fear-mongering. And just because you have a more masculine-looking woman, it's like that woman had testes. So, yeah, no, I don't. If you can't fathom it, it's because you don't want to know or because you want to ignore everything that doesn't fit your view.
Yeah, it's not that you can't, it's that you don't want to.
Yeah. What did they say? Yeah.
They could fathom if it was on the other end.
I know. And, he also said that it wasn't lawfare. I was like, yeah. When you have attorneys running for office on the sole premise of, I will find a crime to pin on somebody, when you have to change laws so you can charge one particular person, when you get your ass handed to you on appeal over and over again, what else would you call that but lawfare? All the stuff that looks really terrible. Oh, that's just nothing. It's like, well, yeah, it's something, and the fact that you don't want to talk about it, just concede that it looks terrible.
Well, just, freak out for the next 4 years while you're proven wrong.
I know.
Like all the things that he has 72 days before he gets in office, and he's already done more. for
Yeah.
peace and for the economy than fucking Biden and Harris have done in 3.5 years. He's not even in office yet.
Yeah. Of course, the left will just say, no. That's just Bidenomics working. Like,
Yeah, except for that doesn't work when the phone calls that they are obviously, harping on, where Elon Musk was. They didn't call Joe Biden with Elon Musk. They didn't even call the White House. They just straight out called.
Yeah.
They just straight out called Trump, and Elon Musk was in on the call. So you know damn well that wouldn't have been the case if it was the president, the current president.
Well, I'm not one to say you should just trust authorities or the elite or whatever, the experts, because I don't think you should trust that. I think you should, look into things and verify things on your own. And I understand that experts have more time because they're specialized, and so you have to kind of rely on some of that. But, you can start looking at trends of how often a person is correct if you're going to trust them. And I'm sorry, but
Well,
when
how
your
often
side...
a person lies to you?
Well, yeah.
Like really proven lies, not just a ton of lies.
Like, okay, I can point out lie after lie after lie that you guys are falling for, and you guys, every time you bring, oh, you're falling for Trump's lies. Okay, how so? I'm willing to hear it. Tell me how.
And what particular lies? Because he's got like 4 of his camp. Look what he said. He's going to end the war in Ukraine on the first day before he ever gets in office. It's fucking day 2 that fucking 𝕯𝖔𝖈 and Putin were calling for peace talks.
Yeah.
Day number 2.
And
that's not even of his administration. That's just, he was elected. And the second day, they're calling for peace.
yeah, and
One leftist lie exposed.
but it's just funny how, it's Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet. Elon Musk runs some of the most technologically advanced companies on the planet. The guy is a smart guy.
Right,
But, just ignore him. There's no way a reasonable person could vote for Trump. Only evil people and, idiots.
yeah, well, that's what you get when, you only listen to mainstream media. What I find ironic is all these people that were claiming to be rebels are all fucking patriarchy now.
Well, it's funny, too, because, like I pointed out, that Kamala or I think I called her Cackles, but she's the least Democratic candidate ever. The party chose her. She was never chosen by voters.
Right, and they only chose her so that they don't need the war chest.
But,
Which was a waste of money anyway, but
so he's like, he was just completely dismissed. What, have a primary after primary season? Yeah. Why not? Because your party said they don't want to? Like, there was time. And I'm sorry, but if you can't handle a quick response, and why it ever was a quick response when everyone knows that Joe Biden had dementia.
yeah, that leads to the next. How many votes did Kamala get in a primary anyway, ever?
I know. So, the idea that it was a stupid idea to have a primary after a primary. Well, I hate to use this source to refute that argument, but who would you say the leaders of the Democratic Party are? Nancy Pelosi, maybe? Is she up there? Because Nancy Pelosi said, well, we probably should have had a primary. Huh. Shocking.
Well, now they're all blaming George Clooney for talking Biden into stepping down.
Oh, yeah. Like, Like George Clooney had that much pull.
No, he did. It was him that supposedly had the final say when he pulled out. He talked him into stepping down for the country state. But I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying that he did talk Biden into stepping down for the country state.
Well, I know he talked about it, but I just don't know if that's where the real pull came from.
What's that?
I know that George Clooney talked to him, and I know he was advocating that, but I don't know how much pull. Like, if it had just been George Clooney, I don't think anything would have happened. I don't think George Clooney had that kind of pull. So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm sure George Clooney had a part, as he did. I mean, I know he did. He did talk and he did advocate. But I think there were other issues besides just George Clooney.
I'm sure there were.
Like cackles threatening the 25th. Nancy Pelosi willing to go along with it. That kind of thing. So it's really easy for cackles and Nancy Pelosi to say, it's all George Clooney's fault. Him and his rich wife.
Well, I don't think that those two are the ones that are actually throwing the blame. Why would Kamala? You know what I mean? He wasn't wanting to run behind. He wasn't wanting to run with Biden. He was wanting to run instead of Biden. Everybody knows that. I heard people are arguing that she didn't actually concede. Like, no, she said, I concede this election, but I do not concede the cause.
Right.
That would be conceding.
Yeah.
So whatever she says from there on out, she conceded. All right.
Why is your camera off?
What's that?
Your camera is
I don't know what the fuck's going on with it. It says turn.
It was on there for a second. I mean, it's a gorgeous picture of me going for a midnight snack. But,
No, all I did was, I don't even know. That's so weird. All I did was kind of bump the stand. I was trying to move some stuff over. Guess I'm going to have to do it the other way. Doesn't want to be moved like that. So what I'm doing right now is not the outline. Because it's a scale drawing, the outline right here is probably going to be white. So what I have to do that is to throw some darker background in.
So I know that they have betting markets on like who's going to win the election, who's going to have control of the Senate. They have betting markets for all those things.
I'm sure they've got betting for everything.
But I want to know if there are betting markets for all the things that the liberals are freaking out about that you and I both know aren't ever going to happen. You know, like, I'd like to bet on that. Like, I'm positive they're not going to outlaw gay marriage. I'm positive.
Wait, like, I laugh every time that somebody says that Trump's against gays. Like, what was this fucking theme song throughout the whole fucking process?
Yeah.
That was by the who? The who? The Village People? The Village People were what, straight?
Oh, I know. And what is the guy's Richard Grinnell? I think was the head of the guy that was head of CIA, or he was something, but he was. Well, I knew he was gay. That wasn't what he ever led with. That wasn't his big thing. He wasn't a big identity politics guy. Right. So, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, I think that's why I'm positive it's not going to happen. And
that's like hearing all these Handmaid's Tale shit. Like, yeah, did you get your red robe and your white bonnet in the mail today? But like, I'm hearing all kinds of, oh, he took our rights away. He didn't take any rights away. Not at all. Not one. I had a friend, a good friend's old lady, were crying over all this bullshit, and she was all like, government shouldn't have control of anybody's body. And I'm like, exactly, that's what the Supreme Court ruled, you fucknut. Yeah. Like, that's exactly what they ruled. That's why they gave the power back to the states, because they didn't think government should be a part of that. That is control over the body. So, you know.
And what's funny is, it's like the abortion protections that have been voted into states since are kind of telling, and the cases that have been lost by other states and their own Supreme Courts saying, no, that's illegal. It shows that the system works when you let the states manage it.
Well, like Maine, for instance, under a Republican governor, Maine is one of the most accommodating for abortion rights. And that's where this girl lives, that's claiming that her rights are gone or whatever. Like, no.
That's why
Learn to know what your rights are before you start fear-mongering about this bullshit.
Well, that's why I'm willing to put some money on it. I don't really have any right now, but I'd scrounge some up for that bet.
That's because you would have some at the end, right?
Yeah. You know, I don't know. People are, want to sit there and be all doom and gloom. Despite evidence to the contrary.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because they really don't. They want a reason to complain and fear and have something to do with their lives, because they don't have to earn anything anymore. Everything's been fucking given to them. We've got the best country in the world. That's why everybody's running to us. That's why everybody's looking to us as the leader of the free world. Because we've got the best country in the world. And they want to destroy that best country because they're fucking bored, really, is what it comes down to. They don't fucking do anything. 90% of them that are bitching about college debt, they don't pay the college debt anyways. Their parents paying the college debt.
I told my boys I wasn't paying for college debt. So that you guys can, there are several universities nearby. The one my oldest wants to go to is within driving distance. Like, you guys are free to stay here. I will feed you. I will clothe you. I will house you. I will make sure you have transportation. Like, you know, if you're here for an education, we'll make sure, but I'm not paying for it. But we just went to something yesterday at Ball State, and housing was more than tuition. Yeah, that's the real scam. I mean, it's not a scam.
That's part of the scam.
Yeah, you get some value. I mean, it's not a complete fraud thing, but it's very telling that they force freshmen to live on campus. Like, if you have to force people, it means you know it doesn't pass the market value. And man, that campus looked a lot different than when I was there. A lot more buildings. It's kind of
That's
crazy.
your alma mater.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because these two girls were talking about this new building that's supposed to be done by like 2025. And I just kind of chuckled because I remember when they were finished, they built this bell tower, and it's the tallest bell tower in Indiana, which is a thing because IU and Purdue kept building taller ones that compete with each other. So Ball State waited them out and just built one taller than both. But whatever. But when it was being built,
that will hold back the National Guard.
Yeah. Well, so then they built this, or basically Muncie shook them down like 6 different ways. It was kind of funny. They're like, "Oh, you didn't get a permit to build to make the road go around it." So they got fined for that. They had bricked the entire thing or most of the entire thing. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, your mortar isn't made right. You got to tear all that down and rebuild."
You remember that clip that I sent you of Elon Musk talking about them making him do the studies of the whales and sharks and shit?
Yeah.
Well, they're talking about bringing the space station down into the Pacific Ocean. Did they do studies of whales and sharks to see if the fucking space station debris is going to fucking hit them?
No, because
no, it's just ironic, you know.
They're going to use Elon Musk's data. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, right. They're gonna use that as excuses what they're gonna do.
So you bully a smart kid in class, so you don't have to do your own homework.
I've heard 2 different theories on it. That was the original plan, but I didn't hear anything about that being part of the original plan. Did you?
I don't know.
Like that when they were done with the space station, that they were gonna fucking motorize it and drop it in the ocean. Like so.
Why?
The other theory is if they can put a motor in it instead of dropping it in the ocean, why not just put it up 500,000 feet or what they say, maybe 500 miles or something like that, where it's still in orbit, but it's not going to hit anything for at least 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a new camera and I need a new microphone. like this camera. It works pretty well. Well, it works pretty well, so we got strips. It's really weird. You have to very carefully pull this plug out of the bottom of it to screw it into the arm. Because if not, it'll strip the place where you're screwing the arm into. I think that's pretty much what happened. I got a strip on it because there's the screw. They put the camera in, and then you tighten that screw up to the camera because there's only so much of the depth. That's how it's adjustable for a camera, because some of them are different depths. Somebody said that we should write on screen. I'm like, I don't know how that would work. I mean, I could share my program, so I could share my MS Word as I'm working on it, but I don't think that would be very entertaining.
Yeah, I've seen people do.
Unless people want to point and laugh at all the typos.
Yeah.
Or if there would be benefit, you know what I mean? If it would be beneficial to people. I think I had one person say something about it, and I'm like, I don't know if that would really hold the audience. And I'm surprised we didn't have a bigger audience right now, because Dr. Doom is comic book usually draws a bigger crowd.
Well, it's Saturday. Who knows? Back in the old days.
That's odd, because Friday and Saturdays are usually nobody's doing anything anymore. All the social events and the social things people did pretty much died out, or they do everything online now. They play video games, and so you can play a game and listen to a stream in the background or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just doing this in scale right now.
Yeah.
Thought maybe I would do a painting of Doom, but I kind of want to do more than just a headshot. But I think maybe a headshot would be faster for a stream. And if I'm going to do a painting of Doom, then I want to take some time to really get what I want out of it.
So, for some reason, my younger son uh, wanted a van to drive. He was hoping to get a van. Now, my
Be
opinion,
old, right?
huh?
It has to be old though to be able to get a van. Otherwise, what you're getting is
A
Yo.
minivan? A
I don't
tall?
even think they sell regular minivans anymore, do they?
I don't know. Well, I wasn't going to buy something new, and he knew he wasn't going to get something new. So, I don't own anything. I don't buy new cars.
Yeah, there's something to be said for vans, because believe it or not, maneuvering and backing into spaces and stuff like that's a lot easier
Yeah, 'cause
in a bigger vehicle.
Yeah. But anyway, so my brother-in-law, the guy works at a junkyard. A couple weeks ago, he sent us a picture of a station wagon. We were like, maybe this will work. And the boy was down for it, but the car needed work. So he went up and saw his uncle today, and his uncle had him working on the car and doing stuff like way more complicated stuff than I've ever done. And yeah, it was kind of nice. I mean, it's just he really took time to show my boy how to do different things, and
That's cool.
I thought it was very
It's his uncle, right? So, I mean,
yeah.
my uncle was the one that got me into comic books. Did your boy take anything? How do I word this? Did it make him feel special to be a part of that? Like the way that he presented it, or the
Yeah.
way that he did it? Because that's
Oh, yeah.
the really cool stuff, is to feel like you're part of something that you may not have been if it wasn't for Uncle So and so.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was thrilled to get a chance to work on it and to be shown by his uncle, and got to drive it and stuff, and but they got it running and whatnot, and plus he just got to hang out at the junkyard and kind of see what that's like, and that's drastically different from how it is like where I work or the offices where my wife has worked. So, it's just kind of nice to show him, because we've said for years, like, that a good job for Thaddeus would be an electrician. It requires a brain. He's got that. But you're normally not working with a whole bunch of other people. So, I thought, yeah, it's methodical. It's kind of like a puzzle every time. And it's relatively isolated. So you don't have to deal with a bunch of people. But
I always told my kids that I don't care what they do as long as it's something that they're happy, that makes them happy. Because ultimately, you can do anything and get paid, but you can't do anything and be happy. Like, as far as careers go, find something that, makes you feel fulfilled, makes you feel like you're doing something that you're special with or to. if they want to be a mechanic or if they want to be a stockman, whatever. If it really makes you happy and you're doing something that makes you feel fulfilled or important, or then you're already winning. Because I know a lot of people that got into professions that pay them a lot of money, but they don't feel very fulfilled. They don't feel like they've won anything, or they feel like they still have to work to get somewhere. It's not there. Anyway, I'm not overly brilliant, so it's something.
All right, I'm going to take my midstream stretch a little early, but that's good enough. I'll be right back. And that.
Probably not much has changed.
Well, there's some gray stuff on the page.
Hope so. Could be some white stuff on the page, some darker, blacker,
Yep.
purplish, grayish stuff on the page. Well, I'm glad you're back, because now I can mute myself and sharpen the pencil.
Oh. Glad to be of service.
Okay, here comes the music. So you gotta talk for a minute.
Uh-oh. I'll make it on the spot. That's not very nice. Anyway, while you're sharpening that pencil, I hope you can hear me. Because I was working on a story, a short story, I was kind of doing double duty. I was.
Mostly I can hear.
Oh, that's all you heard?
I said mostly I can hear. Anyway, you said you were working on a short story.
Right, and I'm kind of using it as preparatory work for the graphic novel, I guess. Like, I'm just exploring different aspects of the world and whatnot. And that's why I asked you last night. I think it was like at midnight. I was like, what kind of gun? Because I had two females, and like, I don't know what kind of gun they'd want. If they want a rifle or a shotgun or something else. And
I gave you a whole bunch of links.
yes, you did. You gave me lots of stuff. So, anyway, well, that's kind of what I was doing. I've been trying to. I guess because I know that my general process tends to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Because something will happen and I'll have to go back and do revisions and things like that. And with the graphic novel, I don't want to waste your time with any wrong avenues. So, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure you're 100% sold on the world building yet. So there are aspects of that I've been trying to tweak and manipulate so that it can be a story that's more like I think what you want. But part of that is me working on this other story so I can kind of figure out how things would work. If that makes sense. So I'm hoping tomorrow to be able to give you at least a good hunk, and then you'll be able to see, like, you can look at some of the world building stuff and decide if it's dumb. I'm waiting for a critique at some point. This was the dumbest thing I've seen ever.
I don't think I've ever said anything like that to you, did I?
No, you never have, but that's always going through the back of my brain. that someone's just going to get something of mine and just be like, this is so stupid.
Well, yeah, somebody's going to.
That's true.
Like, there's a Hugo story about a bear that was discovered fire, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody was like, that's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever read. One of Hugo.
Yeah.
I ain't saying much these days, but it was before these days. So.
I'm hoping, although we'll see, who knows. But I'm hoping that the left quickly realizes that this age of cancellation and censorship and just identity politics and DEI, I hope that shit's over. Or at least on its way out. Or at the very least, I hope people are beginning to realize, no, you can say that you voted for Trump without losing your job.
Well, that should be, under creed, right? Or
yeah, it should be, but that's just like the guy that published that neurodivergence thing, anthology that I'm in. He is, again, terrified of all the things that Trump is going to do. And
so not very smart.
I wouldn't say, again, I'd say he's not being very rational. And if you're scared, it's hard to be rational.
Yeah,
so
but
really do have to.
If you're really smart, you know better.
Well,
you know what I mean? He's already served one term. He didn't do any of the shit that the left fucking saying that he's gonna do. This is a writer. He should know what the difference between imagination, or an editor. He should know the difference between imagination and reality.
Well, okay, but again,
or at least have a step up towards that.
When Biden won, and I was bummed out about that. And yeah, a lot of stuff I was worried about happened.
Yeah, but you weren't worried about being hunted down and shot and sterilized, and you know what I mean?
Well, I was worried about being forced to take a jab, and that nearly happened. And I was worried about foreign wars, and I was worried about a porous border. So, things happened. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, well, I hope, I survived 8 years of Obama. I figured I'd survive at least 4 of Biden.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't drive off a cliff. Yeah, the left is like, I hope he drives off a fucking cliff.
No.
I don't get that. I don't get why anybody would be against anything good happening to the country.
Yeah.
Or hopeful that something is going to happen good to the country.
I know. Again, when Biden won, I was like, well, I hope I'm wrong.
Right.
I hope it's the greatest thing ever. And that's like, there was a program, I think it's called CHIPS or CHIP or something like that, that Trump said he was against. And like there were all these headlines about Trump would kill a successful program that's helped develop American independence on superconductors or something like that. And that sounded strange to me. Why would Trump be against the program that's been successful and it's a vital need?
Get power independence, right?
Yeah. So, I looked into it, and by golly, Trump said he was against it. All right, cool. It's strange. What's going on? Because why would you be against this? Because in my brain, I'm thinking no one should be against this, right? And so I can't believe this guy's against it. Well, turns out he's not against trying to promote being independent of Taiwan and having another, developing our own resources. And he's not against any of that. He just thinks there's a better way of paying for it. That's it. Still wants to do the basic thing. It's just how it's funded. That's the only thing he wanted to change. It's the
same old argument over why the right shot down this bill for the border or whatever. It's not the bill for the border. It's all the shit they're trying to sneak in.
Yeah.
So when they say no, you got to ask yourself, is there a reason they're saying no? Instead of just going, oh, they don't want the border closed because they'd rather bitch about it. Which was Kamala's big thing, right? We're running on having problems, not solving problems. Really? What problems have you solved?
Yeah.
Like, the thing is that you're not solving a problem. If you were solving the problem, I'm sure that the vote would have gone your way. Really.
Yeah.
I can't honestly conceive of somebody voting against it if it actually solved the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the hard part for me to swallow. Like, if it actually did anything, they wouldn't have voted it down because they don't want the borders insecure. Unsecure, not insecure. And it's like, even Trump says, it's not like he doesn't want immigrants. We need immigrants. We need people to come in because we are not reproducing enough people to sustain our country without having new blood in, right? Just
that still means you don't want to import too many because...
No, I'm just saying,
make sure that you protect your culture.
You don't want to import just anyone either.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he's saying. Like, come in the right way, because then we can screen and make sure that this isn't a criminal that's going to come in and murder a whole bunch of 12-year-olds or 5-year-olds and all this other shit that's been happening lately, right?
Right.
So it's not that we're against immigrants, it's against the criminal element sneaking in and not trying to be productive, but trying to terrorize the citizens.
Well, but again,
and skipping the line where everybody else is going the legal way. They're taking years to get there. They're learning the language. They're learning the laws instead of just hopping the fence and doing whatever the fuck you want. And to the detriment of everybody that's here. Like, fine, come. Just come the right way.
Gets me though are people who, like, I can look at it and I know sometimes there are issues that the I don't know what you want to call it, the non-traditional media, the YouTube sphere or whatever, I don't know what, just alternative.
Grassroots. A lot of those guys are grassroots. They're people that live in the area,
right?
Or
okay.
They want to report on stuff that the national media is not covering. And
right, but right-wing media has pushed stories before that were not exactly the way they presented it. Just like the left does. And, so I think it behooves anyone. Like, there was a story today that I saw, and someone was pushing it on Facebook about someone from FEMA told people to skip houses that had Trump signs on.
They did, yeah.
Now that sounds like a hoax to me. It just sounds too...
You're talking about a whistleblower.
Right. But it turns out that, again, there seems to be more evidence, but I would still caution people, some of these things get twisted before all the facts get out. So I just, again, I would caution wait a few days. Let's just see if that's really what happened. But more and more evidence is coming out that it did happen, which is kind of, terrible. But
yeah, we don't. That whole situation is disgusting, and it pisses me off all no end. It's not just the passing the Trump signs, to not help the people that are supporting Trump. It's the whole idea of FEMA paying illegal immigrants, but they're not doing anything about the people that actually need the money. They have the money in reserve to help them, but they're just refusing to. They've had it for a while. And more than that, the Red Cross closing up tents and taking down shelters, and not only kicking people out on the streets, but calling fucking child protective services and say they can't take care of their kids. That's fucking suspect as all hell.
Yeah.
And that's not helping, that's cruelty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I used to believe that we were better on both sides, but now I don't think there is a both sides anymore. I think the people that used to be on the left that were really mostly decent, desiring people, like they wanted the best for the nation, they just didn't agree on how to do it. I think most of them were driven out by extremists. Now, that's my opinion, but they are so much in lockstep that none of them disagree anymore, Like you found, I think, 5 Democratic senators or House representatives that were willing to go against the other Democrats, but all the rest of them are literally in lockstep, and that's just gross. Like, you shouldn't be in lockstep. You shouldn't be fucking finishing each other's sentences. Because if so, you're not really displaying your own opinion or your constituents' opinion. You're displaying the opinion of the party.
Right. And right now, it seems like the Democrat Party is much more of a totalitarian party than the Republican side.
You hate the word seems, and you're right, because it is much more of a totalitarian party. Whether or not it's completely totalitarian or not is beside the fact. It is definitely the more totalitarian of the two. I find also that it's interesting that a lot of independents and Green Party and all that are really just different shades of Democrat.
Yeah.
They are all lockstep with them too. If you notice when you see the House and you see the Senate, there's blue and there's red and then there's yellow, and the yellows are all adjacent to the blue. So why not just call them blue, right? So if they vote with the Democrats and they behave like Democrats and they do everything the Democrats would do, you're just telling me that they changed their name so they seem like a third party. I don't know, man. I don't know. I hate politics, and this is why.
Yep.
Because there's no real, there's very limited amounts of real honesty in politics. I am getting a lot of enjoyment out of watching Senator Hawley.
Yeah.
Hawley.
Yeah.
If you go to the shorts on YouTube, he is really taking a lot of these corrupt officials and companies to task. And he's not letting them get away with denying and shit either, because before he asks a question, he already has the answer sitting there in front of him. So, like, I can watch him forever. That dude is like he's like what should be FBI or whatever. You don't just attack randomly. You get all kinds of evidence and then you go for it and not back down. You know, not give excuses. You just pound and pound until you get the answer. He's like a maybe he was a prosecuting attorney at one time, because he really seems like a prosecuting attorney and he don't take any shit. I really find it amusing the way that people try to worm out of the truth or not answer a question or answer questions and with something he didn't ask. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like he asked, "Did you send this letter?" And then they all fucking they're obfuscating it in different answers, and he's like, "No, that's not what I asked." Like, by the way, let me answer for you because I already have the evidence. You know, like now, what do you got to say? I like that. I'm gonna do the sharp thing again.
Right. So I'm supposed to talk now, but you can't hear me, so it doesn't matter if I talk. But I suppose in the interest of being neighborly, I'll keep talking while he's sharpening his pencils. But I think that's a quiet admission that he's become dull. Say, but now he'll be sharp.
What?
I'm just making fun of you. Don't worry.
Well, you know what they call someone that makes fun of somebody who couldn't hear it? Kind of want to grab a Q-tip and make that and do that test.
What test?
Take a little bit of alcohol on a Q-tip and see if it blends this black.
Oh. Oh yeah, be a different idea.
Well, we're talking about the instructional part of this channel. I think we've been driving people away with good policies. I mean, our politics.
So, did you ever watch the remake of The Shining?
Made for TV
Yeah, that one.
with the dude from Wings
Yeah.
and Rebecca 𝕯𝖕.
That guy was... He was on a podcast I was watching. And I was just watching a quick clip of it. He was talking about working on that. And Stephen King was there. And they did quite a bit of work together, actually. But there was something that he was looking at, and some phrase, and he thought it was, the actor thought it was some kind of deep, meaningful thing, and he asked Stephen King about it. Apparently, Stephen King was like, yeah, that's because I threw up or I was drunk. That was the color of the carpet. And it was just like just random crap he threw together. So, completely not. Yeah. But the guy he liked how he thought The Shining was about the dissolution of the family because of alcoholism and stuff like that. Stephen King tends to be, I don't know if he does anymore, but a lot of his earlier novels seem to be about something bigger. He's like, yeah, I would agree with that.
A lot of his earlier novels seem to be about abusing kids.
Well, that seems to be part of it.
Can you name a novel that's prior to Misery that doesn't have an abused kid in it? At least one abused kid in it?
Hold on. More Misery, huh?
Because Misery didn't have an abused kid in it, it just has an abused fucking brother.
Yeah. Who's abused in Christine?
What?
Christine. Who was abused? They might have shitty home lives, but I don't remember any kid being abused. But it does seem to pop up quite often in his work. But, I mean, that's just like, I would swear up and down that Firestarter is about a father dealing with his daughter's sexuality.
Firestarter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if you look at it...
Maybe. Like when you first said it, I had to ask again because my brain went to Carrie and it was like, that's the father. That's not the father.
No.
That's the mother abusing him.
Yeah. Well, again, and it's not like he wants to have sex with her. It's just the fact that he's dealing with the fact. I mean, yeah, it's her ability to make heat that he tells her isn't a bad thing, but you shouldn't be using it, and you should suppress it. It's the same basic advice a lot of fathers will give their daughters. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have sex, but at the same time, you shouldn't be out having sex everywhere. And the big bad guy is the thing he wants more than anything is to look into her eyes as she dies. It's like, yeah, okay, this is all about sex. I wouldn't say it's necessarily abuse, but it is definitely about sex.
Alright, so I'm going to give it a shot. Worst thing that happens is I can fuck this whole pool.
So, you're going to use alcohol? Is that right?
I'm going to use Q-tip and alcohol. You could use leather fluid, you could use alcohol. Here you can use baby oil and you can use other nail polish remover. I just happen to have isopropyl alcohol on hand, so. See if I can do this without pulling a Rod Reiner and self-immolating. Oh wait, he didn't do that, did he?
Yeah.
Like I said in my Facebook post, they lack the power of their conviction. Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm just amazed at how many people believe them. You take them seriously. It's like, okay. Like, don't get me wrong, they have opinions and whatever. I'm not saying they don't, but
yeah, they have a right to their opinions as well.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, you couldn't figure out they're just being blowhards, all of them, and then
Right,
they're talking about Trump being a blowhard. Now,
That's interesting.
Is that really blending or is it just wet?
No, that's not wet anymore. It's alcohol. That dries quick.
I know, but I still wanted to know if it was.
And I'm answering you. Said no, that's dry. That's just dry. That's all. And that's part of the test as well. So I want to see what it looks like in a couple of minutes. But the artist that I got this from is pretty reliable as far as artistic advice goes. This is the method that 𝕯𝖔𝖔𝖗 uses. He uses lighter fluid. He carries lighter fluid around because it blends this afterward.
Because he wants to risk self-immolating?
No, he just uses mixed medium. He uses odd methods.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Who was it again?
𝕯𝖔𝖔𝖗.
Nope. It's not coming to mind. How do you spell his last name?
𝕯𝖔𝖗𝖒.
You went too fast.
SIE
Okay.
and KIEWIEZ.
Got it. God, how do you know how to spell this?
Because I'm a fan.
That's a last name, man.
Well, it's Polish or something like that.
It does look that way.
I would have never pronounced it 𝕯𝖔𝖗 unless I saw him expressly write it that way. He's like, somebody asked him how to pronounce his name, and he's like, Sin Kev, capital KEV, and then itch, or it, yes, 𝕯𝖔𝖗. Either that or he was messing with somebody. Everybody, because everybody calls him that now. That's cool. It's basically turning a colored pencil into pretty much alcohol marker. I like it. What I'm going to need to do though. Wow. It's been a long time since I painted with oils. That's probably not the most safe, but safe enough. I don't need a lot, it's a little. So I don't have to keep up turning this. No, I don't know if it's going to work the paper eventually, but yeah, it's really interesting. Like, this is just kind of. Alright, so the whole theory behind this is when you use the alcohol breaks down the wax in the color pencil and allows it to blend cleaner. But technically, I'm not really blending colors, which is before I was gonna try anything like that. I wanted to see if it was gonna do like this, right? So it's super interesting, and it's a little bit smeary and kind of has almost a paint effect more than a marker effect. I can see why he likes this method. And I think maybe, like I said, it's very similar to like the alcohol marker.
Yeah.
With Copics and stuff. So maybe that's part of it too, part of the attraction, because this was probably he came up with this method or learned this method before Copics came out as a company or whatever. He's been around a while. He's been drawing since the 70s.
Well, I swear, I told you this before. There was that girl on my floor, college, that she could do these well blended colored pencil drawings so quickly compared to what me and anyone else could do, and she would never explain how she did it.
That's probably why.
Yeah, but I
wanted to have a head up.
But at the same time, I think one of the instructors, like, it was kind of like one of those Penn and Teller fool us things where he kind of said enough so that she knew he knew what she was doing. But again, he didn't tell us. And, you took something that was... The technique by itself would have saved me so much time. and maybe I wouldn't have left, maybe I wouldn't have quit because I just god awful amounts of time that went into those things. If you have a 9-foot drawing, it's a lot of time. Yeah, that's kind of nice. And the reason why I asked if it was dry was just because,
Well, some of it like dries faster than others, and that's what I'm saying. Like some of it, you can see how it lightens up a little bit.
yeah,
But I'm still playing with it. This is the areas that were heavier, obviously, but they're smoother, and I can see how blending it in that area does something for it. And yeah, when it dries, it does lighten up a little bit.
yeah, because
But it wasn't ever heavy. Like I didn't color it heavy black either.
yeah, but that line that you did across his face under the hood,
Yeah,
a lot of that faded already.
right here. Yeah, because that was wet. And
Yeah,
the line that I'm tracing under the hood was a gray, kind of grayish line. So that darkened for the gray because it's wet, but when it dries, that's going to fade off. That's fine. I wanted to see how I'm going to clean that edge up and how that would look cleaning that edge up. So it's still, this is still a learning process. This is literally the first time I've ever tried it. I knew about it, but I haven't had the opportunity to really give it a shot. I've been saying that I've been going to for a long time, but
yeah, that's fun.
I'm seeing also how long the edge of that Q-tip is effective. Of course, I picked up some on the Q-tip, and I want to see if that wipes off or not. You know what I mean? I'm just putting this cap on right now so I don't spill it. I wanted to do that experiment and see how it dries. Then the next step is to, try it with something else. It does, as far as a lot better blended than colored pencil, but I didn't color the colored pencil really hard. Which is what I'm going to do next to see how that works. After I finish doing this part. What I've got to do is find something smaller to apply this with. Yeah, see that's dry. And look at that, looks like it's just a gray marker. Anyway. Now, interesting thing, I'm going to color over where the alcohol went. That's another test. I want to see if you can color over it after. And what difference does it make? That looks pretty dark, pretty dark for that spot. I don't know if it has anything to do with alcohol, if it's blending it better now and breaking down that wax or not. It's see a little bit of wax crumbly. So I suggest that you do this stuff in a well-ventilated area.
It's just rubbing alcohol, right?
Yeah, you're only breathing over it. I didn't think that through too clearly. And now it's too late to. Okay, I think we're getting ready for test number 2. Test number 2 is going to tell us what happens with it done in layers, or if that has an effect at all. It's funny, I see images, you see faces of other people when I'm doing this. Like his face starting to look like Bruce Campbell to me. That whole brow just looks like doing some sugar baby.
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Best casting for Dr. Doom, Tim Curry. Yeah. Think about it. The accent, the gravitas, he can do it. He can do it all. And since it's basically, a suit where you're covering the guy's face normally,
it would have to be CGI. He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah. I'm telling you. It's a great role. Like, that would have been a great casting.
I don't know. I like Tim Curry, don't get me wrong, I like him a lot, but I picture a deeper voice.
Well, if you
what
think
do
about
I know, right?
Well, I'm just saying I don't know how deep it's going to be. I mean,
I don't really
great Dr. Doom, but you can't really use him anymore.
What's that?
James Spader.
I think his voice is a little bit high for that too. I don't see any of those guys actually pulling off 𝕯𝖈𝖙𝖔𝖗.
Oh, I think I don't know. James Spader has I like his voice, but
yeah. Well, I'm not saying like, I like James Spader as an actor as well. So, like, I'm not saying that I don't like his acting. And Tim Curry is an awesome awesome actor and an awesome bad guy. I don't think he's gotten enough credit for some of the parts that he did as a non-bad guy, and I don't think he's gotten enough parts that could have been the possible hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is picture somebody with this kind of Slavic accent. That's a natural Slavic accent. I mean, even like Schwarzenegger at one time, might have been able to pull that off. When I say at one time, because everyone
would be good.
Huh?
I think he would put the effort in, and I think he would do it right.
Schwarzenegger?
No, Tim Curry. I think that's why I think.
Well, I'm saying like Schwarzenegger. The only reason that I wouldn't say Schwarzenegger is because his voice is so recognizable that even if he distorted it, his diction, his vocal. I don't know what the right word for it is at the moment, but like vocal habits. The stuff that you already will identify him with,
yeah,
that will show. But I think, that's why I said 𝕯𝖈𝖙𝖔𝖗, because he's kind of from that same area, and he really did do a good job as villains. I mean, he's played a couple of heroes, and I don't think he's good for a lot of the hero parts that he got. But all the villains came across well as villains. All right, what's test number 2? Play the test for our audience. If I screw up, it's going to be 𝕯𝖔𝖈𝖙𝖔𝖗. Now, technically, this is supposed to be the blend, so I'm going to try it in the areas that I'm trying to blend.
What is that noise?
The Q-tip squeaking against the wax?
Okay. Well, it sounded kind of like a chicken.
Oh, you don't want to say that around my lady. He's been on a crusade against his neighbor that's got chickens.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, his chickens are messing with her anxiety.
Well, I don't like chickens. I think they're tasty. But I just think they're mean, dirty little birds. A friend of mine's got some.
They're also cannibalistic, dirty little birds.
Same friend of mine that has the chickens also has beehives. And
yep, and that's the case with this neighbor too. And the problem is, so there's so he lives here.
okay,
and there's a house here, and there's a house here, and our house. This house is on a corner. This house is on kind of a corner, and then the next house, which is actually touching his yard, has a little girl that's allergic to bees, deathly allergic to bees.
well, so there was a time, I was over at my friend's house, and he had to go tend to the bees. I don't know why. And so he wanted to know if I wanted to do it, which I was terrified. I am deeply afraid of bees. I don't go into hysterics like if one flies in my room or anything, but I had one crawl up my nose once. So
I had one sting me in the middle of my pupil.
Yeah, see,
Came right up out of a plant and got me in the pupil, but I'm not afraid of them. My mom, though, she was definitely afraid of them because she stepped on a nest.
well, so he's got a couple beekeeper uniforms, and he let me put, so we suit up and we go out there, and the bees are just flying right at my face, but I got the gear on, but it's still terrifying to me. I'm having a hard time breathing, and my friend's like, they can sense your fear, and I'm like, well, that's good because it's there and palpable. And I had to walk away for a little bit, but then I came back and it was fine. But it was just one of those things. It's like the only reason I agreed to do that was because I didn't really know what went into it, and I knew I was scared. Like I was like, well, most people don't do this, so it's an experience that, how often are you going to get the chance to play around with it? Have a beekeeper's uniform on and go out and mess with some hives. But
wanted to overcome your fears.
Well, I did not overcome my fear, but at least I faced it. At least I'm still scared of them. But
said you wanted to overcome your fears.
Well, I just wanted to learn. I thought it was a good chance to experience something, even if it wasn't going to scare me. Normally, I'm of the opinion as if it scares me, I should learn it. And alcohol really did help that dark shade.
Yep.
It also means that's going to save pencil lead.
No, because I had to go back over it.
Oh, so you think you used
really
more?
just a test spot anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to see what it did, so now I know how I can apply it.
Hey, I'm going to dip for like less than a minute, like probably 30 seconds. I'll be right back. just stepped on my earbud. Ow. Not quite as bad as a Lego, but close.
No, you didn't do it right then.
Well, it's better than breaking it.
No, I'm saying if it didn't hurt as bad as a Lego, then you didn't step on it right.
I'm thinking I did step on it right, so that I didn't hurt myself as bad as a Lego.
And 𝕯𝖔𝖈 is on the list of Vivian needing half of his audience too.
Okay, I did not understand anything you just said. I'm sorry.
I said 𝕯𝖔𝖔𝖗
Okay.
is also on the list of alienating half of his audience.
Oh yeah.
He just can't understand how anybody. It's one of those democratic. The people voted and they voted the democratic process dead, and I'm like, voting is the democratic process.
Well,
It's the democratic process. How do you decide things democratically? You vote. Democracy is not dead. You just don't like what the democratic vote is.
democracy doesn't mean you get your way all the time.
Right. That would be fascism.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, I don't like the results of Biden's presidency, but that's an opinion. I don't like the mass influx of illegal aliens, but it provides a cheap labor for, like, there are benefits to it. I just don't think that those benefits outweigh the cons, right? But I can recognize that there are people who benefit from this. And
yeah, I recognize there are people who benefit from it as well.
Well, I'm just, this idea that I can't fathom how someone could vote. Well, if you can't fathom how people vote for Trump, there are some Trump voters that can't fathom how you could vote for Cackles. Like, you're just equally dumb if you can't fathom.
Yeah, I call her special case. That's my nice one.
But again, I mean, when you've been told that Trump is literally Hitler, and you don't have the mental acuity to recognize, so Cackles just conceded to Hitler?
And
Joe Biden just had lunch with Hitler?
Peaceful transition to Hitler.
Yeah. So it's like, now either he's not really Hitler, or your side is incredibly weak, but you should start questioning some of the things they're telling you. And it's, I was watching, I forget his name. It's one of the lawyers on YouTube, Robert something.
Romano?
But anyway, one of the things he was talking about was he was going through, and Democrats are beginning to suspect that the election was rigged because Cackles got so many fewer votes than Biden, and yet it's record turnout. It's like, how can you have record turnout that yields fewer votes?
Right.
Which is a great question.
Because we didn't count the death voters this time, and we didn't count the illegals this time.
Or as many of them. But
that's the quiet part.
Like some of the charts, like, this idea, I'm not ready to go into that conspiracy yet, because they haven't finished counting the votes, so it seems a little premature. I would rather have the votes be all the way counted, then start looking at drawing conclusions. But whatever, it's still something. So this guy he keeps going through, and he's like, yes, you guys should start investigating elections. Please do so. Like, and that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you think it's rigged, okay, we invite you to look at the data. And when you have the right saying, oh, you think it was rigged? Please look at the data, versus the left, when the right said it was rigged, and the left all said, no, it's not, but please don't look at the data.
Election denial.
Yeah, but it's just weird. Like,
It
again,
was
Republicans
illegal
willing
to
to say,
deny an
yes, look at
election.
it. What is that guy's name? Of course, he's not showing up on my feed now because I suppose I can look at my history. I just was hoping he'd be on my feed. And of course, my computer's going to be super slow.
Suddenly it's okay to deny election.
Yeah, well, we knew that was going to happen because they denied several elections and they don't care. And the right's been showing that for quite. 𝕯𝖔𝖈𝖙𝖔𝖗 Esquire. That's the guy's name. So he was asking about it, but again, he was pointing out that, we invite you to look at the data. Look at the data from 2020. Look at the data from 2024. Please, let's analyze it as much as we humanly can. And you can quickly see who's trying to hide something versus who's not. But I don't say that I can't understand how anyone could ever vote for Cackles. I just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean I don't get. That's like saying I don't understand how anyone could ever order BLT because lettuce and tomato are disgusting. It's the same argument. Yeah, that was another thing that one of my former students was talking about, how Trump's bombastic rhetoric. And I'm like, you mean like calling people, like half the country, deplorable or garbage or, racist, transphobes, homophobes, Nazis, literally Hitler, like
a danger to democracy.
Yeah, threat to democracy. Yeah.
No, not a threat, a danger.
Yeah.
They keep hammering danger, danger, danger.
Yeah. But of course, none of that rhetoric has anything to do with as to why there were assassination attempts. No. That would only be true if it had been assassination attempts on Democrats.
And, not even the fact that the second attempted assassin literally was quoting danger danger to the democracy.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I'm really surprised that they didn't try harder to claim that it was a right-wing assassination attempt. They did originally. It was like, what?
Well, I'm still waiting to see if they certify the election. Like, I think if you look at the last 4 years.
That's what I was talking about with them claiming that she never technically conceded.
Right. But you had Jamie Raskin say that they weren't going to certify. Which I'm like, how are you not going to certify when you don't have control of the House? But whatever. I guess technically Kamala runs the Senate.
Well, she has the final vote.
Yeah. But again, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, so you had a huge voter turnout declaring the will of the people, and you're going to say, no, we're not going to certify it. And somehow you think when Trump did way less, that's insurrection and treason. But now that you're doing it, it's all okay.
You know what's idiotic about that I don't hear enough of people complaining about? You can't have an insurrection against your own rule. He was the president at the time.
Yeah.
So that's not insurrection because he was literally the head of the government. So, that's just dumb.
Technically you're right because the election hadn't been certified yet.
Even if it had, until they're inaugurated,
right?
He is the president.
Well, I'll be interested because he was talking about like some of the sillier things that I'm kind of interested in. He was talking about releasing the JFK files,
right?
And I'm like, whoa, now that'd be neat. And I'd be kind of interested if the Epstein files don't get released.
I think that it's interesting how many of the people that were at the Diddy parties or in the Diddy files were fucking trying to get Kamala elected.
Uh-huh.
Nobody ever wants to go there, do they?
Well, that's the other thing. It's like Cackles was the least popular vice president ever. With a president that was one of, if not the worst president ever. And all of a sudden, because they switched candidates, Kamala, who was polling lower than Joe Biden, somehow became a viable candidate overnight. And that all seems natural and normal and okay. And you don't see that as manipulation. 48 hours before she gets the nomination or whatever, the coronation really was more like it. They're all thinking she's terrible, and then she gets coronated as the nominee, and all of a sudden everybody's supposed to just magically think she's wonderful. It's just, I'm sorry, I think that shows a critical lack of critical thinking.
Right.
And, if you can explain to me why for some reason you think it's perfectly natural, I'll listen. I'm more than happy to hear someone explain how that worked, because I don't get it. Well, that's there's a board I'm on, and I had posted this on Facebook too, but wanting to know about the betting markets thing. And there was a guy that was just saying that I was being an idiot because one of the things I had mentioned on Facebook was that if you have Trump supporters who stand to make money off of Trump not doing something, they would have a financial incentive to pressure Trump not to pursue various political things. And this guy just called me an absolute idiot. That doesn't work. And I'm like, okay. I'm happy to hear why you don't think it'll work. I have no problem learning from my mistakes. And basically it came down to he doesn't think that people betting on elections affect the way they vote. And okay, I'm not sure if I believe the guy or not. I don't know if people bet based on how they'll vote. Or if they bet on who they think is going to win. But if it's a policy thing, if they're going to pass X or Y, you have as a voter, you have a voice. You can contact your senators and that kind of thing, and try to pressure them not to pass something. So I'm not exactly sure why this guy thinks that a betting market couldn't be influential, but whatever. I like learning things. I have no problem. If someone wants to come to me and explain to me like how I'm misinterpreting Trump, okay. But, I know where my bar is. You have to explain why Trump didn't do it in his first term. And why, even when he says flat out he's not going to do things, they all think he's going to do it. Like the left is positive he's going to revoke abortion rights. And
yeah, like he can't.
Well, yeah, he can't. It's no longer a federal issue, so therefore he doesn't have to deal with it at all.
That's the reason he removed it. That's what I was saying. Like my friend's old lady was saying that the government shouldn't have any control or say over a woman's body, and I'm like, that's right. That's what SCOTUS ruled. They ruled. Nobody. They ruled that nobody in the government should have the right to tell you what to do with your body. I don't see what your issue is. You won. Like, you can't go back to Roe versus Wade. It's been ruled unconstitutional and overturned. That's never going to happen again. So sorry, that's never going to happen again. Although you're not really hurt by it because state's been given the right, and the state you live in has long ago adopted it into the Constitution of our state. Like you're afraid of ghosts. That's what it is. They don't like that phrase, but that's exactly what it is. You're afraid of apparitions that don't exist. If somebody told you that they do.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I mean, I guess it bothers me how quick people are to ascribe malicious intent. Like, there are so many people posting about, this isn't just going to hurt people on the left. like that was the goal. Like, people on the right all got together and said, you know what, I just want to hurt people on the left. Like, that's not what
How
it is.
can I do it? I'll make them have the babies that they screw around with in kids.
Yeah.
I will
Or,
force them
golly, when we stop the flow of
consequences
illegal
their
immigration.
own actions. That's what I'm going to do.
What's that? The baby center of Roe versus Wade. You can find out who the low baby was tested.
I just, again, I have no problem with, hey, you want to vote for cackles? Whatever, okay. But, I don't agree with it, but I think it's pretty, like, okay, you value having an open border, or at least you believe the border is not as open as what I think it is, right? So,
or you don't think that there should be a border because Europe doesn't have borders, but Europe does have borders.
Yeah, I know, but again, like, if you have a certain view, I can understand why you would vote cackles, and I can recognize that my view isn't always right, and that therefore, since I'm not always right, you're not always wrong. Therefore, I respect the fact that you have a difference of opinion. Not a problem. But, I will make fun of and I will attack politicians all day long that I think are doing terrible, dumb things, who I think have sold out the country. I'll attack the politicians. I'm not going to attack their voters. Like, I'm sorry, but and here's the thing. If you think that all the voters on the opposing side are too dumb to know what's going on, well, they think that we're all too dumb. Again, it's the same argument, both sides. We're not. Most of the stuff that we're worried about, it's the same stuff, just different shades. Like, I'm amazed at how many people think that, I want to protect women's rights, but then they'll also be happy to let men into women's spaces and men into women's sports and have men steal opportunities from women. It's like, that's kind of a weird way of protecting women, but okay. I think both parties want to protect women. They just do it differently. Or not even. Or at least the rank and file aren't evil. They're way more in common than what people realize. I was working with my students on Thursday about their writing, and I was pointing out, I was like, everybody wants to say something. I said, that's cool. But instead of worrying about that, because you all can talk, you really should worry about, am I being heard? And that's really what we're working on. You know, can you get your message across so that the reader will understand and enjoy and want to know more? And it was turning that from trying to find, you know, I hear a lot of teachers talk, oh, I want to hear my students' voices. I'm like, they're in junior high. Their voice isn't developed yet. And while it's great to start developing it, making that a goal to have the student's voice is kind of setting the bar a little high. There are adults that have a hard time dealing with voice. And you're going to tell me these, 11 and 12-year-olds, I guess it's 12 and 13, whatever, that they're going to know how to craft their voice? And they barely have a vocabulary. But whatever. It's one of those things where you kind of have to trust the process. What kind of mouth are you going to give him?
What do you mean?
Granted, I'm just picturing this in my head.
I don't.
But isn't his mouth kind of a grate?
It's a layer because it's a mask, and then there's robotics behind the mask. And I'm not going to do it that way. I don't like it. It's the only thing I really don't like about Dr. June is he got this like bone shape or two V's with a line connecting or a bent H or whatever. It was like that. Usually inside of his mouth it goes like this. Yeah, I don't like that, so I'm not going to do it because this is mine, and I'm happy.
That's true. I was just wondering. Yeah.
And I've got, like I said, I've got several references up of Dr. Doom, but like it's funny that each artist kind of does their own thing with him. A lot of them will say that piece inside the mouth. Some of them will do the bolt pattern across the nose and all that shit. And I don't know. Like I said, I was looking at it and I kind of feel like it's part of it's supposed to be an iron mask, but also a steel mask. And I think part of it's supposed to be really a knight because I'm looking at the original stuff. So. Since this is a tonal drawing, kind of allows me some more freedom. scale drawing usually is done in 5 values. There's a slightly darker value, a slightly lighter value, gray, white, and black. And I think I'm playing around a little bit more than that, but I usually layer into something. I don't want to commit too early. I'm pretty cautious about that.
Rich, I hate to do this to you, but it's that time. I like how you keep rushing through.
What's that?
No, it's not time to go.
Well, I'm going to finish what I need to have find my place later.
Okay.
So, like, I really can't quit until I get that spot.
Well, okay. But I will have to bid you adieu. So, and to all the followers and everyone that was on here, and the viewers and all that, and there is at least one of you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for your support. Please remember, we're just trying to help all creatives, their endeavors, to just make the world a little bit more awesome. Talk to you later, Rich.
Have a good one. All right, everyone that watched, thanks for watching. Brett most of the things, so all who like, subscribe, follow, thank you. We'll finish this up next time. So good night. God bless. Much love.